Michael Shikha Niketan Higher Secondary Government Sponsored Co-ed English Medium School has taken an excellent initiative of teaching and make our students learn day-to-day lessons through audio and video in our YouTube channel. Teachers of all the subjects are working hard to enhance these online classes in the midst of this pandemic situation. It is a request to all the teachers, students and guardians to click the bell icon and subscribe our channel.
Okay, today's class is for class 10 and our topic of discussion is hydrosphere. Okay. So, what is the hydrosphere? It is the watery part of the earth, okay, and we come across different terms like ocean currents, tides, waves associated with hydrosphere. So, coming on the topic of hydrosphere, today we are going to discuss the effects of ocean currents on earth. Now, for that we need to know what are these ocean currents. So, ocean currents are regular movement of the ocean water from one part to another. They may be temporary or long lasting, they may be near the surface or in the deep, okay. And in general, the ocean currents are basically of two types, warm current and cold currents. Now, the question arises that why are we going to study about this ocean currents? Why are we studying these ocean currents? They must have some effects. So, we have jotted down some of the important effects on the earth's surface, and the most first important factor is the formation of banks and its commercial importance. What do you mean by bank? It is not the regular bank where where you go and collect money. It is a bank where means the fish banks and ocean banks. For I have given over here. An ocean bank, sometimes referred to as fishing bank or bank, is a part of a seabed which is a shallow compared to its surrounding. Means compared to the surrounding part of the ocean, it is in a shallow part, and this shallowness helps sunlight to penetrate. Okay, and as the minerals also are brought down by the ocean movement because the current is moving, so there is a luxuriant growth of planktons. Now, what are these planktons? These planktons are food for the fishes, and they attract shoals of fishes towards them, okay. And that's why this banks, and generally there is a mixture of warm and cold current where these banks are formed. So, and as there is plenty of food and fishes are attracted, and it can be commercially exploited because people can find lots and lots of fish over there. And we know, for example, we have Dogges Bank, then Grand Banks. These are some examples of commercial fishing banks in the world. The second effect of ocean currents is the coastal climate. Okay, we know that land and sea are side by side near the coast. When land borders the ocean, the warm current or cool is depending on the nature of the particular current that flows by the land. Means it can be a warm current or cold current. If it is a warm current, then it will just do the effect if it is passing from a cold weather region or cold coastal region. So, it warms, and just the vice versa. Warm currents make it warmer and cold currents causes coastal lands to remain cooler. And this cold currents, so wherever we find the cold currents, fog is formed. So, the third is the climatic change. Means by this ocean currents we have a global climatic change, and it helps to regulate the temperature. How? Ocean currents acts as much as a conveyor belt, transporting warm water and precipitation from equator towards the poles and cold water from poles or tropics. In doing this, what does this do? This regulates the global temperature, and we know that as our earth is round shape or spherical or an oblate spheroid, we have studied this, and that's why the sun rays are not equal, means everywhere, means in the equator or towards the tropics it's straight, and as we move towards the poles it becomes slanting. So, there is a different type of temperature as we move from equator towards the poles. So, this ocean currents help the regulation of the temperature and maintaining the balance Okay, so thus regulate global climate, helping to counteract the uneven distribution of solar radiation reaching Earth's surface. For example, of this time ocean currents which helps in regulating the climatic change is called Labrador current, which is a cold current, and El Nino, it is a warm current. After the ocean currents, we come to the next topic of our discussion, that is tides, its origin and effects. So what is this tides? The tides are the periodic rise and fall of the ocean water in the water of the seas due to the gravitational pull of sun and moon. We can also say that the alternate rise and fall of water due to the gravitational pull of the moon. See, here we have underlined moon. So for that we need to go on through this chapter. So we will understand why is moon so much important for the causes or the origin of tide. Okay. Now all of us know that this force of gravity was omnipresent, but the first person who noticed it was Sir Isaac Newton, and he said that according to Sir Isaac Newton, tides are caused by the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon. Means both the celestial body, the sun and the moon, are the guiding factor or the originating factor because of the tides. Now then why we are mentioning only the moon? This is because we are coming to this because the attraction depends on mass and distance from the object. Okay, so we know that sun is much more bigger than the moon, so it will have a greater mass. But the problem is the sun is 150 million kilometers away from us, and whereas the moon is only 3,84,000 kilometers away from us. So the gravitational pull on the surface of the earth is much more in comparison to the sun. Okay, and that's why we find that the guiding factor because for the origin of tides is moon. There are two types of tides basically. One is the high tide and the next one is the low tide. What is the high tide? When water rises up higher than the solid crust of the earth, this is called high tide. And low tide, what is low tide? Level of the water, when level of the water of the ocean falls, we call it a low tide. The second point of which is the reason for the origin of tides is rotation of the earth. Everybody knows what is rotation. It is a daily movement by which day and nights are caused, and it generally takes a time period of 23 hours, 48 minutes and 46 seconds. Okay, so this rotation it causes a force which is generally called the centrifugal force. Now you may ask that what is this centrifugal force? I can elaborate this with a simple example. Everybody of us, we play generally with our friends holding hands and swirling around. Okay, so when we just leave it, what happens? Do we clash? No, we tend to move outwards. This happens because there is a force acting on the body, because we are all on the earth's crust and earth is having the motion of called the rotation, and this causes the centrifugal force, and it does not only happens on us, it also happens on all the objects which is inside it. Okay, so this is because of a force acting upon the outward from center. The water or the tides are also pulled away outside. That's why they push up, okay, in the form of tides. And in this way we can say that rotation of the earth by the force called centrifugal force causes tides to occur. So let's recapitulate. First one is what? Two important points by which the tides are caused. One is due to the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon, basically the moon as it is near to us, and the second one is due to the rotation of the earth. Why? Because it has a force called the centrifugal force, and it acts like that all the objects are pulled outwards. Okay. Now this tides occurs twice a day, and the first one is felt on just the portion which is facing the moon. Okay, and it is called the direct tide because actually it is means just near the moon, and it is called the primary tide or the first tide or the direct tide. Okay, and just at the opposite part, just diametrically opposite part of the earth where the primary tide is happening, the secondary tide takes place, okay, and just it happens in the opposite side of the earth. They are called secondary tide at the same time when the primary tide is happening. Please note it down that the secondary tide also happens at the same time, but diametrically opposite part of the earth, and that is why they are called secondary tide or indirect tide. Both of them occurs in the same span. One which is facing the moon, the portion of the earth which is facing the moon will have the primary tide or direct tide, and just the diametrically opposite part will have another tide which we are naming as the secondary tide, and it is called the indirect tide. Over here we have a diagram where we are showing the high tides. One is the primary, where the portion of the earth which is facing the moon, and see just at the opposite side, means diametrically opposite side, we have the secondary tide. Now along with this primary and secondary tide, we have two low tides during a day, and they are also called ebb tide. You can see from the diagram over here that it is just at right angle. It is just at right angle from the high tide. It forms a 90-degree angle. Okay. Now, there is a mathematical calculation related to the difference of time between high tides and low tides. Okay. Now, we know that the time taken between high tide and low tide is 12 hours 26 minutes. It is proved. Now, why? We know that our earth takes only 24 hours for its rotation. So, if we divide it, then it will be 12 hours. So, from where it comes this 20 minutes extra? Because as the moon is also revolving around with the earth in the same direction from the west to east, and that is the cause for this. Okay. And the revolution period of moon is 28 days approx. It takes 28 days. So, if the moon had been stationary, if it would not move as our earth is moving, then it would have the exactly under it after 24 hours. Now, as the moon is also moving along with the earth, that is why there is a time difference. Now, how this time difference comes? The revolution period of the moon is 28 days, okay, and as we know that it is a circle, it will produce 360 angles. So, if we follow the unitary method, then we can see that it takes, means for one, it will take 13 degree approx to reach. As we know, with each degree passing, we know that there is a difference of 4 minutes. So, we will calculate the time basis on this. We will multiply this 13 degree with 4 minutes, and it comes to 52 minutes. So, here we see that this 52 minutes is being added up because of the revolution period of the moon. Thus the time of high tides changes every day. The interval between two primary tides at a place of two following days, means two consecutive days, is 24 hours 52 minutes. So, in one day, if we divide it by 2, it comes to 12 hours 26 minutes. So, difference between two primary tide means primary high tide, and the secondary tide is 12 hours 26 minutes, and then where is the low tide? Just divide it by 2 again, it comes to 6 hours and 13 minutes. So, low tide also occurs twice a day. So, it takes an interval of 6 hours 13 minutes, and over here it takes an interval of 12 hours and 26 minutes. Along with the primary, secondary ebb tide, we also have some other. One is the spring tide. Now, what is this spring tide? This is the highest high tide. It generally occurs during the new moon and the full moon days. The configuration of sun, the moon and the earth at this new moon and full moon days are in a straight line, and this is called syzygy. In new moon, what happens? The line is straight. You can see the diagram that the sun and the earth is outwards and the moon is in the middle. This is the day when the new moon occurs, and in the full moon, the earth is between the sun and the moon, and the configuration is same, means it is in a straight same line configuration, and this is called seed sea. Now the neap tide. The neap tide are low tides, lowest low tides, means they are low than the ebb tides also. This happens in the first and third quarters of the moon. As we know, as everybody knows that there are different phases of the moon. So one of the other two phases are first and third quarter, and here the configuration is the sun, moon and the earth is at the right angle. And what happens for this, the sun and the gravitational pull and the of the sun and the moon opposes each other, and that's why it produces a very weak tide. Okay, so they are called neap tide. What happens apart from this, we have some terms related to this tides which will affect. Now we have done that epihelion and perihelion. These are the positions of in relation of the sun and the earth. There are positions of the moon and the earth also, and they are termed as apogee and perigee. Now what is this position? As we know that the moon's path is also elliptical, our earth's orbit is also elliptical and the moon's orbit is also elliptical. So one portion of the earth's crust will be nearer and the other portion will be at a distance. So when the moon, the portion of the distance between the moon and the earth is increased, and it is about 4,05,500 kilometer, 504 kilometer, means that is the farthest position from the earth. It is called the apogee position. And the next one is the perigee. On this movement, when the moon and the earth's elliptical orbit, the part comes closer, it is closest, that is 3,63,396 kilometer. This position of the moon and the earth is called perigee. Now another term which is related to this, which happens because of this gravitational pull of the sun moon, is a tidal bore. Now what is a tidal bore? This is a high tidal wave near the mouth of a river or an estuary. This is a high tidal wave which is near the mouth or a river. It causes an upstream like a wall of 5 to 8 kilometers. It is very much evident in the rivers of Hooghly in Yangtze Kiang, where we can find all these tidal bores regularly at regular interval. So we have come to the last part of the effects of the tides. We have learned about the origin of currents, effects of currents. Now we have done what is tides, the origin, and the last part is effect. Without effect we don't study anything, right? So the effect is it clears out materials, because there is a flow of the tides, there alternate rise and fall, and it clears out materials on the mouth of the river or sea, makes the river navigable, means it helps to people to travel. Tidal energy is harnessed. We know that nowadays tidal energy is harnessed to produce power. Next is sea fishes enters during high tide. Our favorite is hilsa, and that which comes from the seawater fish, and salt water keeps the port ice free. Okay, and also in some portion where there is cold climate, the salinity increases the temperature and it keeps the ice free, the ports ice free, and it helps. And this is all about the parts of the hydrosphere as included in your syllabus. Please go through this chapter. It is very important for your Madhyamik, and that's it.
Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment. Subscribe. And do share the video among your friends.